America's freedom attacked. We need to step up to get it back. Without our voices, we are useless. So here I am, red, white, and ruthless. It's our time now. The truth comes to light. Our president shot, but says fight, 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 fight. America's song is an anthem. There's only one, and you can have some. Oh, say can you see by the dawn's early light? This is the song of America's fight. It's our time now. The truth comes to light.
All right, guys, here we are, Red, White, and Ruthless, number 22. I think we're on our fourth part of 22. When you go around and you try to fix all the problems in America, it's going to take a little time. So we broke this this particular podcast down. So far, we're four. I think we'll be able to finish four. I think we're gonna give it a shot. But what we did again, just to recap real quick, is we took all the problems that Americans feel like basically their top whatever 10, 12, 15, whatever it was problems, broke them down, and Mr. Ruthless is going to fix them for you. Okay. If we all just do what I say, man, we're going to be in a better place. Okay. But undoubtedly, we're going to get some people who disagree. And, shit's going to probably stay the way it is for a little while. But hey, that's okay. I'm trying. I'm doing my best. All right. So we're at our next one, which is kind of a big one, man. It is. And it's drug addiction. And yeah, it's an important one. I think there's probably shit. There we go. Bumped my mic here and knocked it out. So I think there's a couple parts to this. Well, there's probably more than a couple, but there's legal drugs and then there is illegal drugs. Cocaine, heroin, and then we got the fentanyl is technically legal, but it's not the way that the cartel is bringing it over and using it. So let's talk about it. So I think, number one, I think that our primary issue is to stop the influx of drugs into the United States. I think that's pretty well documented, is we've got a problem there. President Trump has essentially shut down the borders. Cartels are having a hard time getting the drugs across the borders now, or a lot harder time than they used to have. He's also punishing China, especially when it comes to the fentanyl. They're providing the ingredients, let's say, to the cartels who are making it and shipping it up here and selling it obviously illegally in the United States, and it's killing a shit ton of people. Okay, so close the border or borders and stop the illegal influx of drugs into our country. That's number one. It's kind of a no-brainer. Number two is I'm kind of gonna I'm gonna go against the government a little bit. I think government is too deep into the pharmaceutical. How would I say this? So when your doctor says you need a certain medication, I don't think that the government should make it hard for you to get it. Okay. I think that if there is definitely oversight of the doctors in the country, without question, and if there's doctors that are overprescribed, if there's like I don't know what what you would call them, but basically, if there are just clinics that are just there and they're just pumping out the opiates, I get it. We want to crack down on that. But what I'm saying is that it's not the government. If you are taking a particular drug and it happens to be a narcotic, but you're taking it in such a way that is legal and consistent with what your doctor has prescribed to you, then the government should stay the fuck out of that. Okay. And the government shouldn't come down on doctors doing their job, the doctors who are just making money to sell, opiates or whatever drug it happens to be. Then I get that. I got no problem with that. But when you have, like, I know there's like pain management clinics and things of that nature. And just in pharmacies where they're just limiting, like when they'll just decide to limit the number of total drugs that the pharmacy can get, despite the fact there are people that in that community that have valid prescriptions for that drug. I don't think that helps anyone. I think that hurts the people who, who are just trying to, lead their life in such a way that is productive. So government needs to stay the fuck out of the doctor-patient relationship and not get in too deep into that, as long as you're taking the drugs as your doctor prescribed. Okay, so enough said on that. So then we move into, what do we do with the people who are hooked on whatever drug of choice they happen to be hooked on? Okay. I feel like we are understaffed in America. We've got this significant drug problem brought on by cartels and whatever. And we're understaffed on facilities that provide care for individuals who have gotten to the point where they're hooked on drugs, and they just need that, that facility to get off them. They can't do it they're hooked. Okay. So, and I've seen these, in prisons, I've seen these people coming down off of these narcotics, man, and it's ugly. And I feel bad for them. I mean, yeah, they get there on their own, but, I mean, when something takes a hold of you, like these drugs do, and you want to get off, but it's just your body is just shutting down on you, you feel. And that if you just, take that hit of heroin, whatever the hell it is, that you're going to feel better, you're going to do it. But if you're in a clinic or whatever, not a clinic, but like a care facility, and they're there and they're treating the symptoms that you're having, and they're telling you, man, you can do this. Okay. Here, this is what you're feeling, and this is, we're gonna give you this to help you out. We're gonna be here for you, and we're gonna support you, and what have you. That's what we need. All right, and we could do that if we get back to some of the stuff we talked about before, which is, we doge the fuck out of these communities and find the wasted spending, and we use that some of that spending to create some of these facilities, and the government needs to work on that as well. And that should be a priority. That should be a priority. But I really think that, number one, close borders. Number two, stay the fuck out of doctor-patient relationship. That may be counterproductive in some people's eyes, but I don't really think so. I think you're essentially you're spending man hours and so on and so forth for people who are out there investigating that are getting into your doctor-patient relationship that have no business there, and those people would be better time better spent doing something else in their line of work. And then number three, we need to create these facilities to help people who are hooked on those medications or hooked on the heroin or the not medication, just the illegal drugs or whatever they're in, and help them get to that point where they're better. All right. That's what I got. I think if we get to that point, I think we'd be in a lot better shape in America. Here we go. Healthcare affordability. All right. Yeah, fuck, I get that. All right. So I think that we're getting fleeced by number one, big pharma. I get there's money that goes into research and development and all that bullshit, but there is also these companies are making billions. They're fucking us. All right, they're creating these drugs, and that many times, when we need them, they're overpriced, extremely overpriced. And I think we really need to do something. And this is, everybody knows I'm not coming up with something new. These people are screwing us. But I also feel like the care, like not the doctor himself is not overcharging. That's not who I'm talking about. I don't think doctors make too much. I don't think nurses make too much. I don't think any of that. I think the facilities that are charging you for a little plastic bucket, $130 or whatever, they're screwing you. Okay, because a stay in a hospital or an emergency room visit, shouldn't be, $5,000-$10,000 or whatever. It just, I understand depending on what they provide you, they're maybe an expense, but I also think that if we go through the expenses and what we're being charged, we're being overcharged for a lot of shit. All right, and these people that own the hospitals, okay, not the doctors, okay, the people that own the hospitals, the people that own the healthcare system, those people are screwing us. Now, and then you talk about insurance, and you got this guy, what's his name, Mangione, who killed that CEO of a healthcare, whatever it was. And you kind of understand the frustration and his situation. I'm not condoning that in no way, shape, or form. That was murder, and he needs to spend the rest of his life in prison. It's unacceptable. But these people, they know what they are doing. They are, at times, they are preventing us from getting care because it is expensive. Yet they are part and parcel making it that expensive. All right. So it's just a big clusterfuck. So we need to take a look at healthcare, and when they're refusing to cover our ailments, they're refusing to cover. That's very questionable. Like, as an example, if you have a back injury, and there's treatments that are available that will in all likelihood fix your, let's say you have I don't know what's called a flat disc or something, and there's treatments where they can go in and put a new, essentially like a new disc or something, or refill that that sack or whatever you want to call it, the disc, or whatever. Um, and maybe this is a poor example, but I'm going to use it, and I may be wrong, but just think about the example. So the insurance companies get away with refusing to pay for it because they want to continue to call it, um, like a still in its testing phase. All right. So it's not, like approved care. So they're really savvy, obviously, about how to get out of paying for shit that they should pay for. Um, so let's dial this whole thing in, because I think the issue is not only affordability, it's just healthcare as a whole. So number one, the big pharma is screwing us. We all know that. We need a handle on that. And so let me say this too. We're one of the one or two countries that actually allow drug commercials on television. Okay. Nobody else allows that shit. So these big pharma puts out these commercials and says, hey, if you have diabetes, or you have, a sore neck, or you have, this, and they come up with these new fucking ailments all the time. Well, we got a drug for you, and then you go to the doctor, you say, hey, I want what, blah, 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 blah. What's your doctor do? Oh yeah, hell yeah, I can give you that. So it's like a built-in system of of their own. They get their own reference to their drug. But when you're watching baseball on TV, tell me how long you go in a commercial break before seeing a commercial from Big Pharma. Okay, we're one of the only countries that allows that. All right, we need to stop that shit, which ain't gonna happen because they've got too much money. All right, so fix Big Pharma, which I don't know if we have the political clout to do that. And it's sad to say, but we have too many people that get too much money from Big Pharma. So it is going to have to be a movement from the people in this country to stop them. And I don't know how that looks yet, but Big Pharma is definitely a problem. The big medical corporations, the ones that run the hospitals, and they're the ones that come up with the fees and shit. They're screwing us. They're deciding how much a couple days in the hospital lasts or costs. I mean, they decide that, and they're the ones charging us $120 for a little plastic whatever. All right. We need to get a handle on that. We need to doge that shit. We need to figure out and ask them, why are you charging so much for each one of these things? And I would bet we would come up with duplicative charges, meaning more than one person is being charged for the some of the same things that are being used. I think we're going to come up with a lot of surprising data on that. So I think we need to deal with that. And I think that the costs, if we were able to do that, I think costs would start to come down and make things a little bit more reasonable. I don't know, man. It's such a big task to take on these huge medical corporations that really there's only so many that are really good, and the rest, they're just money makers, just money makers. And the the job that they're doing is fantastic. Oh, make people better, make them well. How can you go after us? When we cure you of, blah, blah, blah. But, they financially devastate people. And that's not good either. Let's just, let's come out somewhere, somewhere in the middle. All right. So that's what I got on that. Here we go. We're at the last one right now. So inflation. And I think that people talk about inflation and they don't really know exactly what inflation entails, what causes inflation, or what they come up with this number and they say, hey, our number is 2 point whatever, or 7 point whatever. And how the fuck do they come up with that shit? Well, it involves so many different things, from the people who are don't have jobs, to the cost of gas, to the cost of groceries, to there's across the board, there is so many different things that are drivers to inflation. Housing costs, food prices, energy, the trade policy, corporate pricing, it's just it's really, really, really insane as to the number of things that are part of how we calculate inflation. So let's talk about what Trump is, because everybody's on Trump right now, and inflation has gone down. I mean, it may have gone up like a point. Let's say it was 2.5 and it went up to 2.6. Okay, whatever. Still 2 point whatever is pretty fucking low, because it's lower than at any time, just about any time, and I'll say any time during the Biden regime. So what he's doing is he's especially with tariffs, and I think like maybe a little bit of explanation on how tariffs is going to influence a number of those categories within the total inflation number. Okay, so number one, jobs. Okay, so so let's back up and talk about what tariffs do. Okay, when we pay high tariffs, our goods cost more to other countries. Okay, so it influences them into purchasing those goods from other countries that don't have such high tariffs, to let's say India. Okay, and I'm just throwing them out there just as a country. Let's say India has a 50% tariff on all automotives, and automotive is a huge industry in India, as a side point. But let's say 50% to the United States. Well, why is automotive industry so big in India? It's big in the United States too. Well, because they do have a very large tariff for the United States to ship automobiles and automobile parts to India. Okay, so what do? They make their own shit over in India. Okay, so that's what I'm saying. So what Trump is doing, he's saying, hey, you're fucking us. All right, you're making it to where we can't sell our products in your country, but we don't have that. Now this is where reciprocal comes in. So we don't have that type of issue with you. So we're just going to do what you're doing to us. We're going to give you the same tariff that you give us, and we're going to make it 50%. I'm not saying that that's what it is. I'm just giving you an example. And that's what he's done across the board, because on average, the United States had some of the lowest tariffs of any country on average across the board. So he's kind of changed that up. And that's what they're bitching about, is they've been fucking us for many, many years, and they're mad now. China had a 700% tariff on American rice. Okay, why? Because rice is big in China. Okay, they produce a lot of rice, they sell a lot of rice, so make it to where American rice is too expensive to buy in China, and nobody will buy it. Okay, so that's what I'm saying is so what happens from that is when he creates this scenario where other countries to get now mind you, the other factor is the United States has the biggest economy in the world. We're not even, China's not even close. They're like 8 or 10 trillion dollars below us. We're at like 28 trillion a year, and they're at like maybe 18 or somewhere around there. Okay, so what Trump is doing is he's saying, okay, you're going to make it so expensive we can't do business with you. We're going to do the same thing, and we're going to attract the people that build in your country. We're going to attract them to our country, and they're going to build factories in our country. Okay, so then what have we done? We've lowered tariffs because now they're going to make deals. Number two, we've created jobs. Okay, we've created jobs because now we're building factories in the United States, where these other countries used to have, basically have cornered the market on whatever product it happens to be that he's applying this tariff to, or in whatever country. Now, to get that, and these countries are big traders with the United States. A lot of countries, the United States is their number one trade partner. So they can't just say, hey, fuck you, we'll buy it somewhere else. No, it's not that easy. They say it is. They try to act like it is, but it's not. If so, they would have already done it and moved along, but they just can't. I mean, Canada would have we're decimating Canada right now because they're trying to say fuck you. And we could literally say fuck you to Canada and be okay. We're too big for Canada to win that fight. They like to act like they're not, but yeah, and even China, they can't sustain it either. All right. So we're building, so the jobs are being created almost immediately. I mean, think about it. They've got to build the factory or refab a current factory that they purchased, or doing whatever. Immediately, we're hiring people, to build these factories and get this shit going. And maybe it's a car factory, or whatever. Maybe it won't get going for 10, 12, 18 months, who knows, but you got people working right away on building this factory. So we are reducing the unemployment. All right. And we're increasing the number of folks who have jobs. So you kind of, I mean, hopefully that kind of explains like the tariff and how it influences shit. The housing, and so let's talk about housing and how it influences inflation a little bit. So right now, I think everybody feels it in housing. If you own a house, you're probably kind of stuck to that house for a little bit, unless you've owned it for you own it outright, or have owned it for quite some time. You're kind of stuck to it because the interest rates are higher. Okay. That's why he's been on, this idiot who controls the interest rates to lower them. And he hasn't done it, because once those interest rates drop, then mortgage rates start dropping, and then houses start selling again. All right. Then what happens to housing price? Housing price starts moving around a little bit. Okay. People start, buying and selling houses again. And we start seeing that market having some movement in it. And that would be nice, wouldn't it? Because it's been 4 years since we've seen a good housing a market. The housing market is not good. Um, and we need to see that interest rate get lower. We really need that, and that's why Trump is on this dude, to lower that interest rate. But there's so many things that that are that influence overall inflation, and Trump is tackling them all kind of at once, and it's a big picture. And when you go to tackle them, just like tariffs, you're going to take a little heat in the beginning. Tariffs, he's taking a little heat in the beginning, but give this a year or two. Okay, he knows it's going to take a minute. All right. But when we finally get all these factories and all these jobs going, and when this idiot decides to lower the interest rate, and we get the housing market kicking again, I mean, we're gonna be in a really wonderful situation in the United States, and we are anyways. I mean, we're in the greatest country in in the history of the world. It's just we've got a bunch of liberal idiots trying to convince us that we don't, or that we aren't. But yeah, that's that's the breakdown for inflation. I get it's a concern for everyone. I want to see the housing pick up. I want to see that mortgage rate. I'd like to refinance. A lot of people would like to refinance. Just while I was buying a house, I mean, it jumped up a couple of little points, and it cost me a little bit of money. Thank you, Joe Biden. But it kind of sucks. But that's what I got for you on inflation. That was the number one, and so we have now solved the America's problems. Hopefully, people listen and pay attention to little old Mr. Ruthless, and we'll get some shit going in the United States of America. Hope it's been good for you all. I'm giving a shot at running some shorter podcasts, seeing how that works. But hey, share, follow, comment, do whatever the fuck you're gonna do. Hopefully you like it, enjoy it, and I'm gonna play my song and